Greetings, fellow Hope Guardians. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of a new series playing Stranded Alien Dawn Guardians. If you would like to skip the game's overview or the scenario settings, please use YouTube chapters. Before I start, let's just go over what this game is and what this series is going to be about. So Stranded Alien Dawn is a planet survival sim, placing the fate of a small marooned group in your hands. This specific series will take place on Saltu, which is a hot and rainy map, playing the Guardians scenario, which was added in to the new DLC. You control a small group of rebels who rescue the first sentient robot named Hope from a ruthless robot manufacturing consortium, and safeguard her until she reaches full sentience. I will be playing with Ember, Melody, and Sora as starting characters, all 30-something females, so it's kind of like Charlie's Angels, I guess, sorta. And I'm only going to be playing on the hard difficulty, because if I turn up the difficulty any higher than hard, I kind of have to play meta, and therefore I won't be able to incorporate viewer feedback and suggestions. And yeah, the goal is to develop Hope until she becomes fully sentient, but how she develops will be largely left up to you guys. So let's get started. I guess Fuel Ease is going to be our seed. As you saw, it's a totally random seed, so I don't know what it's going to be. We'll play on the hard difficulty in Saltu. So there's Desertum, dry, hot, Sobrius, which is a temperate forest, and Saltu, which is a stormy tropical region. On the Guardians scenario. No extra rules, no modifiers besides the hard difficulty. Then, picking our 3 starting characters, we have Ember, and I'll pick them and then show you who they are and what they do. So Ember is a Specs Op commander, daughter of a broken family, and she is a tactical commander, so she increases the hit chance and critical hit chance of everyone within 50 meters by 10%, and occasionally improves the combat skill of others. She doesn't like to craft. She has very decent combat skills, construction, healing, intellect, physical. Melody, she's an herbalist. She's an impeccable healer, so she doesn't fail at medical treatment, and a natural leader. Occasionally motivates others, increasing their manipulation efficiency. She really likes to do healing and intellectual pursuits, and does not like construction. And then Sora, the desert sniper. She has a sniper eye, so she shoots ranged weapons twice as fast, is desert-born, so she tolerates hot and cold better, and is a vegetarian. She's interested in combat, does not like farming, but as you can see, no one has disabled work types, so they're all capable of everything. Alright, let's hope that my starting seed is decent, because you can definitely get pretty screwed on starting seed. Cheers. Okay. So how's our seed? Oh, nice. We have like a little peninsula into a small pond. Rock formations. Animal herds. This looks like loam. So it's not a bad spot. Oh, look at this rock formation. What the hell? Are we in Moab? Is this arches? It's cool. There's not a lot of tactically advantageous spots here. You know, there's no, like, choke spots between mountains or anything like that. Before I unpause the game and set up the work priorities, one other thing I wanted to do is just survey to see what kind of natural resources we have around, like ores, or if we have any insect nests, because it's really handy to know about insect nests before you let your survivors wander about. So yes, there is an insect nest really not far from our starting location, full of very deadly mantises by the strange arch formation. Is there any blue crystal here? No, just a bunch of... Oh no, there is a little blue crystal. That's good. Alright, so that's the brief survey analysis that whoever was in the drop pod, all four of them I suppose, would have noticed on the way down. Oh, there's another insect nest. Okay, so there's a lot of insect nests around and I gotta tread carefully. So this one's near the rock face. There's no compass, so I don't know what east-west is, etc. But good to know that I have to be careful about sending people out too far to do surveys or resource exploitation. So the first thing I like to do at the start of a game is to go into the activities here and to manage their priorities. So I am going to work on that first. By setting up a melody to have 5 across the board, except for delivery and handle. Copying that to everyone else. So 5 is the lowest priority, 1 being the highest, and then we'll go through them. So the only one I really want healing is Melody. So I'm going to turn everyone else off because Melody heals without fail. So that's a really strong thing to have as a healer. For handling, don't really care. Handling is like, you know, loading things into a smelter or rescuing people, that kind of thing. Construction. Melody should not do it because she doesn't like it. And then Ember and Sora have a 3 and a 2, so we'll allow them to have it as a priority 3. Hunting. I am going to have Sora do it because she is interested in it and passionate in it, so she'll like it. Sora will not harvest. Melody will harvest. For cutting down trees and the like, we'll put Ember and Sora on it. They have high physical skills. I don't think I'm going to be having anyone ranch in this specific series, unless I get a random joiner who actually enjoys ranching, because no one really likes it, and my hands are going to be... I'm going to be pretty busy with other things. Scavenging and mining to Ember and Sora again. Cooking. Cooking is a little up for grabs. I'm going to give it to Melody because she's a little bit more skilled at it, but then have Sora bring that down to a 3 as well, so she will join cooking. Ember does not like crafting, so I'll remove that from her list. And for now, I'll give that to Melody, but it's very possible that we train Hope. And I'll explain that in a minute. So, for observations, Hope and Melody both will be doing it, and then delivery set to a 3. So, the thing that is different about this specific DLC, other than the other ones, is unlike waves of bugs attacking me, I'm going to have robots from the consortium attack me. And they behave differently, so the old tactics that worked in past series will not work here. And then also it's worth mentioning about Hope. Hope starts off as barely more than a work drone, where she has only the ability to like handle, cut, scavenge, mine, and do observations. But as she becomes more intelligent, she becomes more sentient. When she becomes more sentient, she can unlock additional skills and unlock additional traits. But she will also demand more things. So at the start of the game, she's pretty much going to be like 100% happy all the time because she's a very simple robot. But as the game progresses and she becomes more sentient, she's going to want more human-like things, like better meals and comfortable quarters and more recreation and things like that. You win the game by hitting 100% sentience, and there's a bunch of different paths to get there. So there will be opportunities for her to learn new skills, like cooking or planting or combat or construction or crafting or whatever. And I'm going to leave her development progress up to you. All right. So at the start here, we have some purple leaf. And I am going to send my people out to do that. But then also set up some basic stockpiles as well. I generally like to set up an initial camp roughly where the permanent base is going to be. And this big open field seems as good a place as any. So I'm going to set up camp like here, I guess. Because there's really not a lot of tactical advantage to any specific spot around. So Ember is going to construct these stockpiles, and these stockpiles are going to be set up for construction materials only. And I'll try to explain like all the game mechanics as I go. Stockpiles can store anything, but construction materials only can be stored on these types of stockpiles, not on shelves and the like. So Ember's going to build those. Melody and Sora are going to be cutting down this purple leaf, because these purple leaves will give me purple leaf textiles and sticks, which will allow me to set up a simple camp. Then the other thing I wanted to do is to have Hope, who is going to initiate her cognitive matrices. Basically, she's going to be not stunned, in other words. And I want to send her after to observe tactical resources that I'm going to need early on. So that usually is like textiles or food sources. Sora's a vegetarian, so I'm obviously going to need plant food sources, not just meat ones, by hunting. Which is funny, because she's our best hunter. The other thing, as I mentioned, is we have a lot of bug nests nearby, so that's going to throw a little bit of it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because the bug nest could end up helping me kill the consortium robots, where they will duke it out if the consortium robots happen to land near the bugs. But I'm just looking for resources nearby that might be interesting. So I think Hope's first observation is going to be to this peculiar palm tree. There we go. Unpaused and starting. We also, Sora, I'm going to have you grab the handgun, wherever it is. There it is. As we're on hard difficulty, so we start off with a decent amount of starting resources. Again, the reason why I didn't play on a harder difficulty is the harder difficulties become so hard that you have to play slowly, methodically, and min-max everything. Which means that viewer feedback can't really be incorporated, because if you don't play the meta way, you end up just dead. Which is, you know, not great, I suppose. Alright, so these stockpiles are going to be for the sticks and purple leaf. Hope is already heading to the palm tree. And Ember is going to be cutting down trees for wood. So let's set up our little camp. So covering things up with tents is a really good way to preserve it from... preserve it from the elements. Certain things, you know, that will spoil, food per se, needs more than just being covered. But here's my initial little camp. 2 ways in and out, stockpiles in the front, and tents all around. And then what I will do is set up some purple leaf bedrolls in the back for the 3 humanoids to sleep, the 3 people to sleep. And Hope does not need sleep. So that's another thing. If you check her needs versus other needs, as you can see, instead of health, she has integrity. So she is repaired, not healed. She does have happiness, but happiness is going to be really easy to fulfill because currently she's sentient and it gives a plus 50 or a plus 100. And then she also has catharsis for a day and a quarter, which gives a plus 50. So she's very, very easy to keep happy initially. And then she needs energy, which is in the form of silica energel, which is a mix of liquid fuel and silicon, or energy crystals. She prefers the energy crystals, but she'll settle for the, as you can see, her favorite is energy crystals and petting animals, but she'll settle for the silica gel if need be. All right, setting up some of the wooden storage shelves, and these wooden storage shelves I'm going to have contain everything but apparel, weapons, and tools, which are better stored in a bureau instead, or a wardrobe. We'll put a wardrobe in as well. Other things that I'm going to want early on is work. So a workbench to make like bandages and the like, and then a research desk to unlock research. Then we'll also do a drying rack so that we can, and I'll put that here. A drying rack so that we can dry out meats and hides for leather. And then we're going to want some sort of like camp to cook on right at the start. So Ember, Sora, and Melody are all cutting purple leaf for the base camp. And Hope is over here analyzing the palm tree. And then after she's done with the palm tree, I'm going to have her go to this squash-like plant. Trying to gain whatever local resources there are. Knowing that there's like a lot of bug nests around. It's kind of an unfortunate seed. All right. So we also have these tall leafy plants that I'll want to analyze at some point. And then these ones, these pointy red plants as well. Having played Saltu before, I know what all of these things are, but I won't reference what they are until I discover them. Okay, so the palm trees were sausage palms, which grow a sort of reddish banana that is so meat-like that vegetarians refuse to eat it, but it can also be processed into palm oil in the research tree, which is a good way to make fuel. Another piece of furniture that we're going to want is a place to dine at. So there we go. Table and chairs. We need a little bit more wood and more purple leaf in order to build what we have set up. So I'll have them cut a few more palm trees down. Not the sausage palm trees. We'll leave those intact, but these different palm trees. There's a, we're in the tropics, so there's a few different types of palm trees. So our base camp is sort of like, how the caravans would circle around to protect one another. It's very insular, so that from the outside, let me turn on the roofs. There's really only two ways in, which is going to be a lot more defensible than an open camp style. Will I choose clothing for Hope? We'll see. There's not really gendered clothing in this game. It's just there's clothing generically. So there's not like a dress Hope up as a masculine or feminine clothing. It's just clothing. All right. Some other things that I want to do early on. Let's cut some of these giant grass for hay. And we're finally getting the shelter kind of built. And a few more wood, 40 more wood, and we'll have the storage that I queued up done as well. One thing that I would say is it's important not to exploit more resources than you need. Like, right now, it wouldn't really help me to cut down a bajillion trees, because what am I going to do with the wood? I don't have any projects to work on. So don't waste your labor doing things that aren't actually immediately beneficial to your group. So after Hope observes that squash-like plant, let's go over to this tall leafy plant. And the pointy red plant. The other thing I'm going to do is in their setup, I'm going to tell them to eat on foot if they're too far from a table. So that if they're, like, out mining something and they all of a sudden want to have a meal, they don't have to come all the way back home. That saves a lot of labor, where it might upset them a little bit to eat without a table. I know, war crime. But it's going to keep them a lot happier as a result. Or a lot more productive, I should say, as a result. Alright, Sora, let's have you mine a rock chunk so I can make a little camp for cooking. The other thing I want to do is, because we're on Saltu, I want to research lightning rods. So I'm actually going to tell Hope to stop what she's doing and to start working on... Maybe I'll tell Ember. I'm going to tell Ember to start working on making the research bench, because lightning storms or thunderstorms are really rather dangerous in this game, where you can get struck by lightning and it sucks. It sucks for a long, long time. So I want a lightning rod early on to avoid that. Oops, I didn't mean to cancel that. That was the very opposite of what I meant. Alright. And next to the two workbenches, I'll put a little torch for illumination. Alright, Hope. Stop what you're doing and research lightning rods so we don't get struck by lightning. Does it suck for Hope too? Yeah, it sucks for anyone getting struck by lightning. Doesn't matter if you're a robot or not. It's not a good time. Alright, setting up a little bit of a campfire in the center for some basic cooking. And we'll do a quick recipe as soon as I get some buttermelons, which is the melons that Hope had analyzed. Another thing I could do is to set up some shooting targets for recreation. So getting those up. And for that I need a little bit more wood, so we'll cut down a few more trees. And we're carrying everything to the shelves now. So if you click on a specific item, it will tell you what is the ideal for it. So for wood, or okay, for scrap, it's best stored under a roof. For most things that aren't perishable, it's best storage is just under a roof. So if I turn on the roofs, as you can see, this is what our camp looks like with roofs on. So most things are stored under the roof. Other than the drying rack, which doesn't matter. And it's really only the perishable stuff that's going to be a problem without refrigeration. So now we have unlocked lightning rod, and I'll stick a lightning rod right in the middle of our camp so that we don't get struck. And I will set up the next research to be metal refinement and weaponsmithing. Actually, weaponsmithing first and then metal refinement. So Sora's the only one with a weapon. She has a little handgun. But we know that the consortium are coming for Hope. It's only a matter of time until they get here, so it's good to have people armed and ready to fight back. It seems dangerous to have lightning rods right in the middle. Yeah, but they work at 100% efficiency. So, although it looks strange, it functions very well right in the middle. And the lightning rod itself has a sphere of influence that it covers, so I put it kind of in the center of the camp so that it covers the camp plus extra area. And anecdotally, what I have found is when you do have at least one lightning rod, even people outside of the sphere of influence that are protected from the lightning rod tend to be protected anyway. That they're far less likely to get struck. Maybe as a way to simulate the fact that the lightning rod is conductive and taller than everyone else. I'm not really sure, but you don't need like bajillions of lightning rods all around. I've not seen that to be necessary. Just a few will do. So now that we have a few buttermelons, let's make some veggie soup, and I'm going to make until we have 3 in stock at all times. And then for the meat eaters, I will do the same for sausage palm. Get a few sausage palms out so that we have some meat stews in stock as well. Knoxville, thank you for the resub. And Delphine too. Cheers. Sebastian, Radio Gal, Maclin, I'll drink Talia. And I missed a dog treat? No. Well, I missed a dog treat like a long time ago. Apparently I wasn't paying attention. No, more dog treats. Okay. How challenging is the game mid and end game? It very much depends on the difficulty that you pick. The harder difficulties will send more challenging combat at you. What I will say is there's a bit of a meta. Not so much on the Guardians DLC, but there's a bit of a meta when you're not playing Guardians. Because when you're attacked by, like, insects that are all on the ground, it's very easy to use mazes full of flamethrowers to mitigate most of the damage that they'll do. So even on really hard difficulties, you can definitely min-max to the point where you've negated most of the challenge. But with that said, that's up to whether or not you want to exploit, like, game mechanics to make what would otherwise be a challenging situation easy. And I will also say that on insane difficulty, if you don't have a lot of game knowledge, you won't succeed. The game needs to be min-maxed on insane difficulty, or you will very much die. And in fact, you might just die anyway. There's also the concept of moons. So the moons in the game, you have different moons. You have Concordia, which is balanced. You have Nyx, which sends you attacks at night. You've got Chaos, which is just random and challenging. And then Jason, who is very gentle and like gives you lots of time to set up and recover from attacks. So it also highly depends on the moon that you choose. Right now I'm playing Concordia Moon for a nice balanced experience. But and then there's a bunch of other modifiers. You can have game modifiers in the game where like everybody starts off unskilled, or you start off solo alone, or you start off with completely random people. There's a whole host of different challenges and modifiers to make the game more difficult if you desire. You like the look of the shelter? Yeah, me too. Alright, let's see if I can't find Cloth Blossom. I'll just call it what it is. That is not covered by insects. I don't really have a farmer that can farm Cloth Blossom at the moment. I might have to settle for a different textile instead. I am not seeing a lot of Cloth Blossom around me at all. Oh, there's another nest over there. Okay. And that nest is going to make it very challenging to do living crystal observations because they're kind of in the way. No. That's a problem for future me. So what's left on the ground? Hope's food source. Alright. So now that I'm done with the just starting phase, my next priority is get some basic research done. What I'm hoping to do is to get weaponsmithing done so I can have some basic weapons for when the consortium shows up, and then start to work towards being able to actually build a encampment. Accompanying the DLC was an update that adds in Z levels where you can have tiered buildings. What I will say is it's a little wonky. It's a little buggy, like, for instance, people will often haul things. Like, if you have a stockpile on your bottom floor, they'll, like, walk up to the second floor to put it into the stockpile from through the ceiling. Like, there's some weirdness like that. It still functions, but it's definitely odd at times. For better or for worse. Alright, so I've killed my first bulky animal. We don't know what it is yet. And I am sort of tempted to start to farm grain cob, but I don't really know where I want to put the base specifically. I suppose what I could do is I could pull you guys. So I could try to build the base somewhere to incorporate this sort of like pond and peninsula. I could put the base in situ, like right here, where I am now. Those are kind of my only two obvious options, I suppose. Or I think this is passable, or I could try to put the base up here on the rocky plateau. So I'm going to have those three options. Where to build a permanent base. The pond, the camp, or the stony plateau. I'll give you 5 minutes to vote on that. Oh, this stockpile was not set up correctly. Hope is improving. Oh, so there's another thing that you're going to have to vote on. So let's say only 1 more minute to vote on. Well, I'm going to close this poll down and ask later because there's something that just came up. So, hope improving. Hello, you rescue me from the manufacturer consortium, but what now? My sentience patterns will need time to achieve their full potential, but there is capacity to instantiate a new skill. What should it be? So this is going to be left up to you between hunting and fighting, construction of new buildings and devices, cooking of meals, crafting, tailoring, and assembling electronics, farming plants and taking care of animals, or healing. So, just as a little reminder, Ember and Sora are very good at fighting. Ember is okay at constructing. Nobody is really great at cooking. Nobody's really great at crafting. Nobody's really great at farming. And Melody is really great at healing. So a flash poll, because I'm kind of stuck in this, I can't minimize this, so we have to decide. Now, it's also worth mentioning that when Hope works on these skills, she won't become more sentient. There was other choices that you can make for Hope later on, like where she could take up a new personality trait. So let's say she takes up a personality trait of a constructor. Then when she works on her construction skill, she becomes more sentient. This is just adding a thing for her to be able to do, not for her to be able to become sentient. So at the moment, she only becomes sentient when she does research or observations. That is what pushes her sentience up. This is just the addition of an unlocked skill. So yep, 'tis your choice. And it looks like crafting and farming duked it out, but farming won. Alright, we have a farming robot. So if I go to the activities, that's Yeah, that's right. So if I go to the activities, which is the 5 key, as you can see here, I hope now am going to set to plant and harvest as a 1. So if there's anything to plant or anything to harvest, she does it. And then I'm going to pull Melody off of it so that Melody doesn't spend as much time doing it. All right, now back to the original question that I had. Permanent base, pond, camp, or rocky plateau. So, just to remind you, pond's over here. The camp is where we are now. Camp would be easiest for farming. Because it's a lot of, well, I guess the pond's pretty easy for farming too. And then the Rocky Plateau is geographically kind of isolated. But because we have Z-level building, you can build structures vertically, we could have some sort of like tower or bastion built into the rocks here with like farms surrounding it. So, give you 5 minutes on that one. Alright, Ember is... Okay, so in Ember, instead of doing observations, let's have you scavenge the landing pod. And then Sora currently is researching, which is just weird to me. So, Sora... I'm gonna have you cut down a big old tree instead. Make sure that they're doing things that align with their personality type. Another thing that might not be a bad idea is to get a second research desk so we can really push research quickly. So that both Hope and Melody can do research at the same time, advancing our research tree faster. Okay, we just discovered silicon leaf. Silicon leaf you harvest for silicon. And it's... I don't want to start farming until I know where the base is going to be, but it seems like Pond is winning by a bit of a landslide. But you still have 3 minutes to vote, so I'm not going to call it early. So the breakthroughs. Every time you play, you have different breakthroughs in the game, which offer you sort of an advanced or improved tech. So for me, I have high-efficiency solar panels, which I'm probably going to want to take advantage of. And then Hope, instead of observing the strange succulent, I'm going to have her research. So one of the things I do find, ooh, scavenged metal, that's really good. One of the things I find useful in the game is to not try to build your structures out of the toughest material, but instead build your defenses out of the toughest material. So you can have like carbon fiber buildings or concrete buildings, but because buildings are usually large and expensive, it's better to have like carbon fiber walls or concrete walls. Maybe not better, but like more affordable. Building a completely ideal encampment is often unaffordable, especially with a limited labor pool. So keep the scope of your structures, sanity check them so that they're not insane. Alright, Melody is heading to the succulent, but pretty soon here there will be an additional research bench. Here, Sora, how about you just build that now? And the other thing I'm going to want to do pretty early on is to get some sort of source of textile that can be turned into bandages. So these twisted plants, I will analyze. Can you get new people who wander in and join? Yes. Yes, you can. And then you can also find them while you're adventuring out on the map. So sometimes people will just join you right off the bat. And as long as you have extra bedding and food for them, it's a real boon to your community. You know, the more people that you have, the more well protected you'll be. I think I'm going to use some of the metal alloys I just got to make a dartboard as soon as I have, like, fabric or leather. And I'm processing some leather right now from the first kill I got on the bulky animal. Thank you for tuning in to Stranded Alien Dawn Guardians, which originally streamed live on Twitch November 18th as part of a mini-series marathon. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below, but please keep in mind that changes cannot be made to the series as it was only streamed once. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams, and if you would like to join my online gaming community, it also has a link to Discord, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, viewers that came out live for the stream, and viewers like you also that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Guardians.